Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at the Sporothrix. This is the new sniper from the Deimos Arcana update. The only way to get this weapon is farming it from the T3 Arcana Vaults. If you were going to build this weapon, you would probably set it up like this. It is a heavily status focused sniper, and we'll just take a look at the base stats first. So you'll see it only has 1% base critical chance. This isn't really that much of an issue for normal play, but we're going to have to find a way to address this in Eidolons. Surprisingly, this weapon is extremely strong even if it can't crit when used in the right hands. You'll see here that it shares its critical multiplier with the Rubico Prime family. So despite the low crit rate, if you can make it crit, it will hit like a truck. It comes with an abysmal fire rate, half of that of the Rubico family, sky high amount of status chance at 53%, as well as equal base damage to the Vectis family. So you'll notice here that this thing can hit pretty damn hard, and it even has innate viral on its secondary AoE after you shoot the weapon. So how would we use this for normal play? Well, that question is pretty simple. With status that high, there's only one way you can do it. Obviously, because of that abysmal crit chance, despite being a sniper, we're not going to run Point Strike at all. First, we're starting off with Amalgam Serration, and then in Point Strike slot, we're gonna fit Heavy Caliber instead. What's interesting is this weapon is unaffected by the minus accuracy from Heavy Caliber, so it's pretty much free extra damage. Then we're gonna slot on Split Chamber for that multi-shot, and Vile Acceleration to fix that abysmal fire rate. It's only minus 15% base damage, so since we have a Serration and Caliber on, it really is just a drop in the ocean of damage loss. Then we're gonna run High Voltage and Malignant Force to make Corrosive. This pushes our status much higher, and then I'm gonna slap on Hammer Shot. Rifle Aptitude is only 10% higher status, so I don't really see the benefit when we could run Hammer Shot instead to benefit our crits also when we get them. This will come into play in the synergistic builds later on. Our final slot is going to be Primed Bane of Corrupted, especially with our scaling slash damage due to the weapon's base IPS spread. So I'm going to spawn our level 145 Corrupted Heavy Gunners here, and I'm going to walk right up and shoot them in the heads, as that's the only way you should be using a sniper. And you'll see here when I scope in, there is a 50% headshot damage multiplier. This is a final multiplicative bonus, so it is extremely powerful and the reason why you should only be aiming at heads. The 2.7x zoom is pretty generous as well, not really impeding your aim at all and just letting you get a bigger beat on heads without pulling away from our awareness. You can see here that shooting one shot does a decent amount of damage, but it's nowhere enough to kill them. If I shoot them again, then it starts piling on the slash damage, scaling off our other statuses. It takes a couple of shots to kill them. 3 quickly to the head should be enough to put them out of their misery. This is okay, I guess, since we don't really have any other synergies in play. The explosion has some AoE that can cause viral procs and other statuses on nearby enemies. So how can we make this build better? Well, the first option is to slap on Arcane Avenger. With the critical damage scaling that high, there's no reason why we shouldn't be running Avenger on this build. It gives flat crit, so significantly increases our chances of being able to pull off some yellows, which will allow us to scale our slash procs into it, as well as our secondary explosion ticks. For our second slot, we can try Arcane Rage, as since we're already aiming at heads, it should proc pretty consistently. Other options like Arcane Acceleration are a little bit less desirable despite being very useful because it only procs on a critical hit. So unless you crit 24/7, with this 9-second duration rate, the proc is a little bit iffy. With Vile Acceleration, you already have an acceptable amount of fire rate. Another option is Arcane Momentum to help out with that 2.7 seconds base reload speed. But again, since it procs on crits only, then it's a little bit questionable, but feel free to try them out. Now, because it's a little bit hard to proc Arcane Avenger in this test setting reliably while still being able to hit heads, I'm gonna slap on an Adarza instead. She's modded with our standard Cat's Eye to give us that 60% flat crit buff as well as Tech Enhance to extend it. So I'm gonna spawn our Corrupted Heavy Gunners one more time, and let's go right up here and wait for the Cat's Eye to proc. As soon as I start shooting heads, you'll see I'm nearly one-shotting them. And you'll also notice this weapon shares the same super fast combo scaling like Rubico. As soon as that combo starts piling up, I'm just instantly one-shotting them in the head without even having to wait for status or slash. Another build that we could try out is a viral build. Now, Although you'll see the Corrosive build has been doing more damage here, the reason why I'm showing you this viral build is it increases the damage of your slash procs, which ignore armor. So very far into the endgame setting where armor becomes a very big problem, it doesn't matter how many Corrosive procs you stack, there will still be too much armor. At that point, building for viral to fuel your slash procs instead will be much more effective due to how slash ignores it. So let's spawn these enemies again. On top of that, you can even use Sarin and cast Venom Dose. This way, we have our holy trinity of slash, viral, and corrosive. You have your viral, scaling into your slash, as well as being able to put some upfront hurt in with those inflated corrosive procs. The weapon being above 100% status means it's guaranteed to produce at least one status for every single shot, maybe even two. Combined with the multi-shot and the combo rate, you'll be shredding through these enemies in seconds. Speaking of shred, I would not advise adding punch through on this weapon at all. If I put on prime shred and I shoot the wall, you still get those little detonate explosions, but if you shoot enemies with shred on, it won't embed into the body. Your shots will pass completely through and you're gonna miss the second component of damage as well as the AoE status spread from that explosion. So make sure you don't run punch through on this. Now let's take a look at the Eidolon build. I'm gonna switch over to Vault right here, and we're gonna take a look at the weapon build. Now you'll see I have heavy caliber in this slot. In the run that I uploaded earlier today, I actually had point strike in this slot. You don't want to do that. The only reason why I had that there was I was trying to throw a build together in 20 seconds, less than a minute before the night cycle started, and I just really didn't have much time to reflect on the weapon stats. But well, it still works, so I guess that says a testament to the weapon's strengths. But definitely run heavy caliber here. The weapon is immune to the minus accuracy penalty. So we're going to start off with Amalgam Serration, as you'll really appreciate that extra sprint speed that carries over into your Archwing. Then we have Heavy Caliber, as I spoke before, and then Split Chamber for that extra multi-shot. We will follow this up as well with Vigilante Armaments to guarantee we shoot at least 2 bullets at any given time. Then we'll only have Hellfire as the element since we're using Shock Trooper to produce radiation. Vital Sense for that critical damage, Hammer Shot because even though this is a Rivenless build, we won't be running Argon Scope due to the 1% base crit chance on the weapon. Although Prime Cryo rounds would be more damage, you can't run it here since we're running only Hellfire, and Shock Trooper applies last as the 9th mod slot, so we would be combining Hellfire with Prime Cryo rounds if we chose to slot it in. In our last slot, we'll be running Primed Chamber. This is an important part of the build that lets you use this weapon as a zero combo one-shot build. Of course, this is unnecessary and it is completely dependent on the weapon critting, so if you don't hit those juicy yellow crits, this will not work. It also lets you get away with running lower combo stacks, as you won't really need much at all if you can hit the first shot. So now let's take a look at the Warframe build. There's absolutely nothing special going on here. It is identical to my standard 4-man sniper build on my Volcar run, where I have 243 strength for Shock Trooper and Vigorous Swap and running Sprint Boost for that extra flying speed since I don't need Corrosive Projection. For our Arcanes, I actually wouldn't run Arcane Acceleration here since you already have Vile Acceleration and Haste modes. I would probably opt for Arcane Momentum instead because of the weapon's 2.7 second base reload speed. But for the testing, I'm going to stick with Acceleration to make it easier to show the damage, as I don't really have a need to reload fast during my testing. I'm also keeping on Sprint Boost because the test is calibrated against 0 CPs to match 0 CPs against a Terrorless. Then for my companion, I'm going to bring my Worm. He's going to have the synth set so I can passively reload my sniper while it's holstered, as well as the weapon carrying the full Vigilante mod set: Vigilante Supplies, Vigilante Offense, Vigilante Armaments, and Vigilante Fervor. This way I can boost the crit tier on my weapon to increase its reliability, as 1% base crit chance isn't really something you want to bet on. I would also recommend bringing Sarpa as a safety because whenever you do a meme run or an off-meta run, you never really know if you have enough damage. We're bringing Shattering Impact to strip the base armor of the Eidolon, Primed Fury, Gladiator Vice, and Quickening to speed up the process. Then I have Amalgam Organ Shatter in case I use a heavy attack to make it finish sooner, Tech Gravity to pull in bombs if I want to use that passive, Modus Impact to increase my anti-knockdown when I'm in the air, and finally my Riven for more attack speed, but this is unnecessary. Also, because this weapon is a projectile, you're going to have to bring a hit scan pistol to deal with water limbs. On the other hand, the sniper has 1% base crit chance. You wouldn't be using this for water limbs even if it was hit scan. So for my Pandero, I'm opting for the synth charge build. This lets me reload my sniper passively without having to deal with a 2.7 second base reload speed, but if you feel your Pandero build isn't strong enough, you can just slot in barrel diffusion instead. That is the alternative build that I sometimes use if I don't need the synth set bonus as much, and for testing purposes, I'm actually going to slap on an Adarza instead with Cat's Eye and Tech Enhance to simulate the Covenant buff. So we're going to spawn our level 110 Dracar Manic Bombards here. I'm going to cast my Shock Trooper and then place my shield. Then I proc Vig Swap and shoot the thigh. Well, there's proof of the zero combo one-shot build that immediately killed it right there. Without my Prime Chamber, it seems like it takes 2 shots though. This also means once you hit 2x combo, you should be able to one-shot limbs with ease. Remember, this is a 0 CP comparison, so in a squad with 4 CPs, you should be doing a solid. This weapon, I don't think it really needs Rivens. It is extremely powerful as is for normal play and Eidolons. Its disposition sits at 0.5 where it deserves. Rings a bell? Sounds a lot like Rubicode, doesn't it? Anyways, tell me what do you think of this weapon in the comments. That's it for this video, thank you all for watching, see you all next time.